For 25 years, from 1973 through 1997, an Italian priest named Father Stefano Gobi said that he received locutions from the Blessed Mother. In these messages, she spoke of our times and reiterated the requests she made at Fatima. Although her messages are for everyone, in these messages, she particularly asks priests for greater holiness and to be more active in promoting consecration to her Immaculate Heart. Father Gobi's spiritual director urged him to write down the messages that came to him. In due time, they were published with multiple imprimaturs as thousands of priests, bishops, and cardinals eagerly asked for translations in many languages. This recording is not professional and not for profit. Volunteer readers have undertaken to make these available as audio podcasts. You may purchase the book To the Priests, Our Lady's Beloved Sons at mmp-usa.net. Presented here are the messages from 1976, beginning February 2nd to December 31st.
1976. You must be little. Message number 91, February 2nd, 1976, Feast of the Presentation of the Child Jesus in the Temple. A sign of contradiction. Do not be troubled, my sons, if you are not understood by some, and if on the contrary you are openly criticized and persecuted. My heart permits this to accustom you not to rely on any creature, but on me alone. Beloved my sons, lean on my Immaculate Heart alone. Let yourselves be carried, just as the baby Jesus let himself be carried in my arms to the house of the Father. He presented himself in the temple to be offered to the Lord on his mother's heart of mine. At the moment when I entrusted him to the hands of the priests, the old prophet Simeon revealed that the mother had been chosen by God for this offering. He is destined to be a sign of contradiction, and a sword, O mother, will pierce your soul. You will also, my little children, consecrated to my Immaculate Heart, you will be called today to be this sign of contradiction. By your life, which will be pure and simple, a living gospel. Today the gospel of my son Jesus is believed less and less. Even in the church there are some who tend to interpret it in a human and symbolic manner. You will live out the gospel to the letter. You will be poor, simple, pure, little, and totally given over to the Father. By your word, which will repeat ever more loudly and clearly the truth which my son Jesus has come to reveal to you. Do you see how many of your brother priests betray this truth in the attempt to adapt to the mentality of the world, impaled by a false illusion of being better understood, listened to by more people and more easily followed? No illusion is more dangerous than this. Always announce the gospel that you live in with fidelity and clarity. Your speech must be, yes, yes, no, no. Everything else comes from the evil one. Therefore, let yourself be guided and led with docility by the Church. See how the Pope is now announcing this truth with power, and how his voice falls more and more on barren soil? My mother's heart is again pierced by a sword as I see how the Holy Father, this first of my beloved sons, is abandoned even by his brother priests and left more and more alone. You, O priest consecrated to my Immaculate Heart, must be the voice which spreads throughout the world whatever the vicar of my son announces again today with firmness for the salvation of my poor misguided children. By your witness, which must be light and example for all the Church, it has been ordained by the Father that yours be a witness, which I will become more and more painful. I repeat, my sons, the road upon which I am leading you is that of the cross. Do not fear if you become increasingly the target of misunderstandings, criticisms, and persecutions. It is necessary that this happen to you because, as was my son Jesus, so also are you being called today to be a sign of contradiction. The more you are followed, the more you will be rejected and persecuted. When they attack your person or my movement, answer with prayer, with silence, and with forgiveness. You will soon be called upon to struggle openly when my son Jesus, myself, the church, and the gospel are attacked. Only then, led by me by the hand, should you come out in the open to at least give me a public witness. For now, continue to live with simplicity by entrusting yourselves with each and all to the care of my motherly heart. Message number 92, February 11, 1976, Feast of Our Lady of Lourdes. The perfume of your purity. Today, my beloved sons, I receive with joy the perfume of your purity, and I placed it on my immaculate heart to offer it to God as a sign of reparation. How much filth submerges this poor humanity, urged by me to set itself free from sin. Come and drink of this water I give you. Come and wash at the fountain. Do you see how every day many of my children remain defiled with this filth which is spreading more and more and dragging countless numbers of souls to their death? How can even many of my poor priest sons escape from this tide of filth? I am the Immaculate One. I am purity. Take refuge in my immaculate heart. Even though the surroundings in which you live become more and more submerged in this impurity, you must breathe in only my lovely perfume. I have come down from heaven to make you, sons consecrated to my heart, my heaven on earth. In you my light is reflected. Thus, through your many souls will again be drawn by my candor, and they will spread the perfume of my virtue. The Pope has given you the signal for turning the tides of this moral battle. Listen to him, defend him, console him. This tide of filth has finally reached to his very feet, but you must set up an embankment about the feet of this angelic pastor, of the gentle Christ on earth. By a special intervention on my part, carried out through you, this diabolical wave of rebellion and of filth unleashed against the Pope will stop at his feet, and the greatness of his innocent person will appear intact to all. Message number 93, March 7, 1976, the first Sunday of Lent. The Perfect Consolers. My sons, be the perfect consolers of my son Jesus. Never, as at the present time, has his divine lament been so often repeated. I looked for comforters and I found none. Why does my son ask if there was anyone who is able to console his heart? Jesus is God, but he is also man. He is the perfect man. His heart beats with divine and human love. In him is all the fullness of love. His is the heart which has loved most, which has suffered most, which is sensitive to the delicacies and manifestations of affection as it is to outrages and offenses. The heart of my son is now, as it were, submerged in the great sea of human ingratitude. How much it still loves you. It continues to beat with love for you, and it receives only offenses and sins. To you he has revealed the secrets of the Father, and he has led you back to him. And now humanity has rebelled by the very rejection of God. The flood of atheism is the thorn which now makes the heart of my son Jesus, bleed continuously. And you, O priests, are all my privileged sons, because you are the most painful and loving fruit of the predilection of my son Jesus. You are called by divine plan to be his ministers, his apostles, his consolers. Why then do so many of you again betray him today? Why do so many of you flee today and leave Jesus and the church all alone? Why are so many of you again sleeping today? And that sleeping is often the very work in which you allow yourselves to be caught up and overwhelmed. That sleeping is also the way in which you seek to adapt yourselves to the world and to succeed in being agreeable to, as well as accepted and understood by, in this world. That sleeping is everything that humanly weighs you down. Where are my sons who again today are willing to keep watch, in prayer, watch and pray lest you give in to the temptation? In suffering of this new hour of agony for my church, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I am now calling you my beloved sons. I am gathering you together from all parts of the world, as a mother hen does her chicks. I am gathering you all into my immaculate heart. Can a mother remain indifferent to the great abandonment and the great sorrow of her son? And so then, understand that my duty is above all to console him. Therefore, I want you all to consecrate to my heart, to make you all into perfect consolers of the heart of my son Jesus. Message number 94, March 25th, 1976, Feast of the Annunciation of the Lord. Mother of Jesus and yours, priests consecrated to me, my sons, this is the reason why you have need of me to become perfect consolers of my son Jesus. At the moment when, overshadowed by the light of the Spirit, I uttered my yes to the will of the Lord, the word of the Father, the second person of the most holy Trinity, descended into my most pure womb in the expectation of my maternal collaboration to receive from me his human nature, and thus become also man in the divine person of my son Jesus. Do you see how God entrusted himself completely to this human creature of his? The reason is to be found in the mystery of the love of God. What moved God to stoop down to me as was the profound sense I had of my littleness and of my poverty, as well as my perfect availability for the accomplishment of the will of the Lord. God could have chosen many other ways to come to you, but he chose to select mine. And therefore, this way now becomes necessary for you to reach God. The first thing that I ask of you, sons, is your unconditional yes, and you say this by your consecration to my Immaculate Heart. And then I ask you to entrust yourself to me with the greatest confidence and the most complete abandonment. Your yes and your complete availability will allow your mother to act. As with great love I formed the human nature of the Word, so too I will form in you, my sons, the image which corresponds more and more to the plan which God has for each one of you. The plan which God has for you, my beloved sons, is that you be priests according to the heart of Jesus. I am the mother of God because I was chosen to bring God to men. I am your mother because I have the duty of bringing to God those men redeemed by my Son and entrusted, each and all, by him to me. I am therefore the true mother of Jesus and your true mother as well. On this day, when all heaven exults in the contemplation of the mystery of the incarnation of the Word, you too must rejoice while meditating on this mystery of the love of your mother. It will not be given to everyone to understand this mystery of love. It is given only to the pure of heart, to the simple, to the little, to the poor. Go forward thus, my beloved ones, and you will always be consoled and encouraged more and more by me. Message number 95. April 3rd, 1976, the first Saturday of the month. Your light will shine resplendently. My beloved sons, today I accept with joy the homage that you have given my immaculate heart. Let your hearts never be troubled. Obscurity is descending even more and more upon the world, wrapped in the chill of the denial of God, of hatred, of egotism, of rebellion against God, of impiety. The cup of iniquity is almost full, and the justice of God demands atonement. I need you, my beloved sons, to form you into victims worthy of being offered to the divine justice, and so you will be called more and more to suffer. The hours of agony and passion are drawing closer to you. Do you see, sons, what is happening even in the church? Errors are being spread more and more and have taken hold of even the good. Infidelity is spreading increasingly among the ministers of God and the souls consecrated to Him. Even the hierarchy is impaired by the bonds of charity and in its unity. Above all, the vicar of my Son Jesus is more and more alone. He is culminated even in the most vulgar and blasphemous ways. He is criticized and challenged and left more and more alone by my own sons. You must share his lot with him. This is for him and for you the hour of Gethsemane. Live with me in my immaculate heart. You are the crown of love woven by me to place as a source of comfort about the heart of my Son Jesus and of his vicar on earth. Therefore I ask you again for prayer, suffering, and silence. But your light must shine ever more and more brightly as the darkness envelops everything. And yours will be the light of my presence in this most severe trial, and my motherly and merciful intervention will then become manifest to all. Message number 96, April 13, 1976, Holy Thursday. Look at my crucified Son. Beloved sons, look at my crucified Son. Look at his face stained with blood, his head crowned with thorns, his hands and feet pierced by nails, his body, which has been made an open wound by the scourges, his heart pierced by a lance. My beloved Son, look at it and understand it only with their own human intelligence, and have thus inadvertently fallen into the most serious errors. It is not with human intelligence alone that the word of my Son is to be read. He thanked the Father for having hidden the mysteries of his kingdom from the wise and prudent of this world, to reveal them to the little ones. It is, above all, with interior humility and full docility of the soul that his word is to be read and understood. For this reason my Son has entrusted its authentic interpretation only to the magisterium of the Church, and this to accustom you to this difficult and yet so necessary attitude of humility and interior docility. If you remain united to the magisterium of the Church, and if you remain humble and attentive to what the Church points out to you, you will always keep within the truth of the Word of Jesus. Today, error is being spread more and more within the Church, and it seems that there is no longer any barrier that can contain it. It is spread about, especially by many theologians. It is propagated by my poor priest sons. How can you now, in the church, be sure of being preserved from error? Look at my crucified Son, and you will be faithful. My Son who, God though he was, became obedient, even unto death on the cross. Look at his thorns, look at his blood, look at his wounds. They are flowers blossoming from the pain of his obedience. My beloved sons, now as that darkness covers all things, you are being called to bear witness to the light of complete obedience to the Church, to the Pope and to the bishops united with him. The more you witness to this complete obedience to the Church, the more you will be criticized, ridiculed, and persecuted. But it is necessary that yours be an incredibly painful and crucifying witness in order to help many of my poor children to remain even today in truth and in fidelity. Message number 97. April 16, 1976, Good Friday. See if there is a greater sorrow. Beloved sons, behold my sorrow. See if there's a greater sorrow than mine. My son Jesus, abandoned by all, scourged, crowned with thorns, climbs Calvary with difficulty, carrying the heavy cross on his poor shoulders. He is unable to walk. He totters. There is not one gesture of pity, only hatred, hostility, and indifference surround him. It is at this moment that the Father gives him the comfort of his mother. Think, my beloved sons, of the comfort and pain of this encounter. Oh, the glance of my son at that moment! In my heart there opened a wound which has never healed. See the sorrow of your mother as she contemplates her crucified son, agonizing and slain. Sorrow for him who was dying. Sorrow for you. Now my son continues his passion in his mystical body, which is the Church. Today I think again of the villainous gesture made by Judas in betraying Jesus. I feel again the same pain at the betrayal which so many of my priest sons perpetrate every day. O sons, my beloved sons, why do you still betray? Why do you still persist in your treason? Why do you not repent? Why do you not return? And Peter, who 3 times denies my son out of fear. How many of you, for fear of not being understood, appreciated, or esteemed, still deny the truth of the gospel? I do not know that man. And the apostles who ran away and leave Jesus alone for the whole of this long Friday. How many of you run away and abandon my church? Some leave the church to follow the world, others remain in the church and, to please the world, abandon it in their minds and hearts. The church is not loved by many of you. The vicar of my son finds himself in a state of isolation which grows ever greater. The bishops, united with the Pope, feel in their souls the thorn of this solitude. They are increasingly criticized, challenged, and abandoned by their priests. John remains. He stays with his mother. Priest of my movement, you at least stay with the Church and with me, your mother. Look well at my sorrow and suffer with me. In this hour of Calvary for the Church, you will thus be the sign of my presence, the one and only comfort which the Father gives it, in the moment of its passion and its martyrdom. Message number 98, May 3rd, 1976. You will be capable of loving. My beloved sons, let your hearts never be disturbed by the attacks against my movement, which are becoming increasingly frequent. This is my work alone, and it corresponds to a special plan of my Immaculate Heart. Difficulties, misunderstandings, and sufferings are permitted by me that this work of mine may be purified yet more. I want it to be purified of every human element, that it may thus reflect only my most pure light. I want to cover all my sons, the priest consecrated to my Immaculate Heart, with this most pure light. This is why I ask you for complete detachment from all persons, that I may give you true purity of heart. Every human attachment to yourselves, to creatures, and to the world beclouds your interior purity. Of course, I cannot ask you to live apart from the world. It is in accord with that of the will of my Son that you live in the world, but without being of the world. You should live in the world in such a way as to belong solely to my Son Jesus. You must belong solely to my Son Jesus to bring the whole world to Him, and thus lead souls to salvation. This is the kind of sympathy that you should have for the world, the only kind desired by my Son, and still proposed to you by the Church today. Many of my sons are today being drawn into numerous errors, becoming alienated from my Son, and from me by this false way of understanding how you should live in the world. How many of my poor priest sons have ended up by being totally of the world, and have become its prisoners. My Jesus saved this world above all when, to be faithful to the will of the Father, He detached Himself from every one to be raised up from the earth and hung upon the cross. You will begin to bring back many souls to my Son when, like Him, you will also be raised up from the earth. You must become accustomed to being raised up even now, spiritually speaking, by interior detachment from everyone. Thus you will possess true purity of heart, and you will be truly capable of loving, even to the supreme test. You will always be carried by your mother, who knows where and how to lead you, that in each of you the design of the Father's will may be realized. Message number 99, May 13, 1976. Recall my coming down upon the earth in the poor Covid era in Fatima. I came from heaven to ask you for the consecration to my Immaculate Heart. Through you, priests of my movement, what I had then asked is now being realized. You are consecrating yourself to my Immaculate Heart and leading souls entrusted to you in this consecration which I desire. Since that day, how much time has passed? It's now 59 years. The Second World War, foretold by me as a punishment allowed by God for a humanity which, alas, did not repent, has also taken place. Now you are living in that period of time when the red dragon, that is to say Marxist atheism, is spreading throughout the whole world and is increasingly bringing about the ruin of souls. He is indeed succeeding in seducing and casting down a third of the stars of heaven. These stars in the firmament of the Church are the pastors. They are yourselves, my poor priest sons. Has not, perchance, even the vicar of my Son affirmed to you that it is the dearest friends, even the conferers at the same table, the priest and the religious, who are today betraying and setting themselves against the Church? This is then the hour to have recourse to the great remedy that the Father offers you to resist the seduction of the evil one, and to oppose the real apostasy which is spreading more and more among my poor children. Consecrate yourselves to my Immaculate Heart. To every one who consecrates himself to me, I again promise salvation, safety from error in this world, and eternal salvation. I will obtain this through a very special motherly intervention on my part. Thus I will prevent you from falling into the enticements of Satan. You will be protected and defended by me personally. You will be consoled and strengthened by me. Now is the time when my call must be answered by all priests who want to remain faithful. Each one must consecrate himself to my Immaculate Heart, and through you priests, many of my children will make this consecration. This is like a vaccine which, like a good mother, I give you to preserve you from the epidemic of atheism, which is contaminating so many of my children and leading them to this death of the spirit. These are the times that I myself foretold. This is the hour of the purification. Heed the requests of your mother and entrust yourselves to me with all confidence and the most complete surrender. Message number 100, May 28, 1976. Follow me on the path of my Son. Beloved sons, listen to the voice of your mother who calls you gently to follow her. Follow me along the path of prayer. Many of my children are on the point of being eternally lost in these decisive moments because there is no one to pray and sacrifice for them. You must pray for them. Help me save your brothers. This is the hour of error, which is succeeding in entering everywhere and especially in seducing many of my priest sons. Do not be astonished if you see fall those who, still only yesterday, seemed the most faithful and most secure. You will see fall even those who set themselves up as teachers of others. Do not be surprised if, in this battle, those fall who did not want or did not know how to use the weapon that I myself gave you, my prayer, the simple and humble prayer of the Holy Rosary. It is a simple and humble prayer, and therefore it is most efficacious in combating Satan, who today is leading you astray, especially by ostentation and pride. It is my prayer because it is offered with me and through me. It has always been recommended to you by the Church, and also by the first of my beloved sons, the Vicar of Jesus, in words that moved my motherly heart. Follow me along the path of suffering. You have now arrived at the moment of your immolation. You are being called to suffer more and more. Give me your suffering. Today it is the misunderstandings, the attacks, the calamities of your brothers. Tomorrow it will be persecutions, imprisonment, condemnations on the part of atheists and enemies of God who will see in you the obstacles that must be eliminated. Walk with me and follow along the path of my Son Jesus, along the way of Calvary, along the way of the cross. Never, as in these moments, will you try to live so profoundly that which is the vocation of every Christian. He who wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Follow me, beloved sons. Today it is necessary to follow your mother if you want to travel without fear the path of my Son Jesus. Message number 101, June 19, 1976. Say with me your yes. There is another thing I ask of you, beloved sons, your life. These are the times, my sons, when I must ask of some of you the gift of your very lives. The hour of martyrdom is in preparation, and the Mother is gently leading you to the moment of your immolation. Do not look any longer at this world. Look at me. Look upon the face of your heavenly Mother. I am reflecting upon you the light of paradise which awaits you, and, at the hour of trial, you will be strengthened and encouraged. Do not look to creatures who, misled and corrupted by Satan, will hurl themselves upon you with hatred and violence. And yet, my beloved sons, you have always loved and done good to all. You have always sought to help everyone. And now the chill of hatred and ingratitude is spreading all about you. Do not be afraid. This is the hour of Satan and the power of darkness. Do not fear. Take refuge in my immaculate heart. In this motherly heart you will be warmed and consoled. Here is the source of your joy and the secret of your confidence. In this heart you are little children who I am forming in interior meekness, so that, at the invitation of my Son, who is associating you in his sacrifice, you may respond with a yes. Say it with me, my beloved sons. This yes of yours is the will of the Father. Then, very soon, you will see appearing the dawn of a new world, washed and purified by your reparative offering. Message number 102. Lourdes, July 3rd, 1976. First Saturday of the month. Your most necessary witnesses. Be ever more docile in my hands, beloved sons. Your life will be truly mine if at every moment you offer me your interior docility. How many priests are there today who do not obey, who are in rebellion, who no longer observe any kind of discipline? Your interior docility will bring you to a more complete discipline in respect to the norms and directives of the Church. You suffer today when you saw in this place consecrated to me what a great number of profanations there are, and how many sorrows are inflicted on your mother's heart. Children who come to me dressed so indecently, and who manage to pass freely at the very feet of my venerated image. Share in my sorrow and make reparations for these true profanations that are being committed every day in this place consecrated to me, even scandalize the faithful themselves. Yet the existing discipline of the Church obliges these sons of mine to wear the eschatological garb. But who any longer observes this discipline? Few, and they are for this reason all the more thought of as backwards and old-fashioned. This question of garb is just a small example, but it is indicative of a sad reality. Today, lack of discipline, disobedience, and intolerance of any norms is spreading among priests who are nevertheless still the sons of my maternal predilection. You at least, O priest consecrated to my immaculate heart, be an example by your interior docility and your obedience to the discipline of the Church. This is today the most urgent and necessary witness that you can give. Only thus can you spread about you the example and the fragrance of my Son Jesus. You will be chosen instruments of the return of many priests to their duty of giving the good examples, which is the one and most important exegesis of your own ministry. Message number 103, July 16, 1976. Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. In the spirit of filial surrender. Son of my maternal predilection, do not let yourself be distracted by things and by human vicissitudes. Remain always close to my heart in prayer. I am arranging everything for you as your real mother, the persons you are to meet, the circumstances in which you find yourself and what you are to do, and so accustom yourself to live trustfully in the present moment in which the Father gives you and the Mother prepares for you. Sons consecrated to my immaculate heart, you should all live in the spirit of filial surrender, with the most complete confidence in your mother's action. A priest who consecrates himself to my heart draws upon himself this predilection on my part. which becomes stronger and more evident, and which the soul comes to perceive with greater and greater clarity. It is I myself who, with you, am enabled to carry out in a more complete manner my function as mother. I am thus able to act through you because, by your consecration to my Immaculate Heart, you truly place yourself like little children in my arms. Thus I speak to you, and you can hear my voice. I lead you, and let yourself be guided by me with docility. I clothe you with my own virtues. I nourish you with my food. You are more and more interiorly drawn by the perfume of this motherly action of mine, which makes you little, poor, humble, simple, and chaste. Above all, I bring you gently before the divine person of my Son Jesus, present, as in heaven, in the sacrament of the Eucharist. You acquire from me a taste for prayer, prayer of adoration, prayer of thanksgiving, prayer of reparation. The more the coldness of desertion and silence surrounds my Son Jesus, present among you in the Eucharist, the more I myself gather the voices of my beloved sons, so that, united with my voice, there may be composed even here on earth a melody of love to be offered to the heart of my Son for his consolation. This is the army that I am preparing. This is the cohort of my priests that I am now gathering from all parts of the world. A hidden cohort of little children consecrated to my Immaculate Heart, whom I am making more and more like myself, that Jesus may offer them to the Father as a sign of reparation and atonement. Therefore I say to you again, pay no attention to all the evil which is spreading more and more and flooding everywhere. Disregard also the great evil which Satan is succeeding in spreading, even in the Church. Turn your gaze to me alone, and consider the great good which, in silence, your mother is accomplishing by drawing ever more increasingly number of priest sons to her heart. Close your eyes to everything else, and open them only to this marvelous reality. This is why I ask you again, sons, to live in the spirit of filial abandonment and of your most steadfast confidence in my Immaculate Heart. Apparition number 104, July 26, 1976, Feast of Saint Joachim and Anne. My time. My time, beloved sons, is not measured by days. My time is measured only by the beating of my mother's heart. Each beat of this heart makes a new day of salvation and of mercy for you, my poor children. And so I invite you to live only in trust. Your time must be measured by trust in the merciful love of the Father and in the action of your Holy Mother. My parents Anne and Joachim, who the Church calls to mind today, holds up to you as an example, lived in this trust. All the saints and friends of God lived in this trust. The Almighty, in carrying out His plan in every age, always made use of this trust alone. Often He realized it even against everyone's expectation, at a moment when no one else thought it possible. This is how the great plan of God was accomplished through those two poor and humble creatures, whom He called to prepare for the birth of your Heavenly Mother. And your mother was called to hope against the very evidence of things, and to place her complete trust in the Word, Paralola, of God, and thus she became Mother of the Word, Verbo, and gave you her Son Jesus. Now I have announced to you the triumph of my Immaculate Heart, and necessary and painful purification which must precede it. I have also told you that this is the time of the purification, and that these are the years of my triumph. But do not search out the moment, scrutinizing the future and counting the years, the months, and the days. In this way you would be caught up by anxiety and agitation. and would truly waste your time, which is so precious. My beloved sons, my time is not to be measured in this way, but only by your trust in me, who am preparing you to be instruments chosen and formed by me to bring about at this time the triumph of my Immaculate Heart. Message number 105, July 31st, 1976, Feast of St. Ignatius of Loyola. Your difficulties. Follow me, beloved sons, in complete trust, and do not let yourselves be troubled by the difficulties which you encounter on your way. The difficulties are permitted by God to help you grow in your life of perfect consecration to my Immaculate Heart. They detach you from your way of seeing and thinking, from your taste and attachments, and, little by little, they bring you to see and think only according to the heart of my Son, Jesus. After each difficulty, I see the life of Jesus increase in you, and it is this that gives such great comfort to my mother's heart. Have you not become aware, my sons, of how, under my personal influence, your life is truly changing? It is the interior difficulties of the soul which cause you most pain. You are mine, and yet you feel attracted to the world. You are clothed in my own purity, and yet you experience the affliction of temptation of the flesh. Some of you complain and would like to be free of this. And yet, my beloved sons, how much this interior difficulty which you are experiencing makes you grow in detachment from your own selves. Never look at yourselves. The less beautiful you look to yourselves, the more beautiful you will look to me and my Son, Jesus. It is my mantle that covers you. It is my own purity which causes you to shine. Then there are the exterior difficulties. These are the ones in the midst of which you find yourselves, misunderstandings, criticism. Sometimes I permit even scorn and calamity. My adversary makes special use of this last mentioned above, to strike at you and to discourage you. And you, how are you to respond? As Jesus did, by silence, by prayer, by living in intimate union with the Father. In the light of the Father, all that is not true, all that is not good, all deceit, all calamity, dissolve of themselves like mist in the sun. And since you are in my Immaculate Heart, there is nothing that can touch you. Anyone who would intentionally do you harm will not succeed in striking you. Anyone who acts in good faith will see the light even before the evil reaches you. And you will walk in peace even in the midst of tempest of the present moment. And there will also be difficulties of your time. Beloved sons, with what care you have been formed and prepared by me for all your time. These difficulties are also permitted by me that they may make you ever more docile instruments in my hands for the plan which I am realizing at this time. Atheism, which is spreading throughout the world, the cries which continue to expand within the Church, error which is being disseminated everywhere, these are the waves of great tempest. You are being called to be my peace in the storm. And so walk in serenity, walk in tranquility, walk in trust. Thus the most obscure descends, the more you will make my light. And if the storm increases day by day, you will be ever more and more my peace. You will give to each other at every moment the sign of my motherly presence among you. Message number 106. August 7, 1976. first Saturday of the month. Only with the Pope. Today, from every part of the world comes the homage which is so pleasing to my Immaculate Heart, the homage of those priests who are consecrated to me, of you, sons of my maternal predilection. Let yourselves be led by me, and you will not feel the weight of your daily difficulties. I want you in my arms, all of you given over to my Immaculate Heart, that you may thus walk towards the goal which I have set for each one of you. I have already pointed out that what this goal is, to make you priests according to the heart of Jesus. You must be truly Jesus today, for the men of your time. Jesus who speaks, and thus you will speak only the truth contained in the Gospel and guaranteed by the magisterium of the Church. Today, as darkness descends upon everything and error spreads more and more in the Church, you should direct all people to that font from which Jesus causes his work of truth to issue forth, the Gospel entrusted to the hierarchical Church, that is to say, the Pope and the bishops united to him. Not to individual priests, not to individual bishops, but only to those priests and bishops who are united with the Pope. Today, as the Mother of the Church, how deeply the scandal, even of bishops who do not obey the vicar of my son, and who sweep a great number of my poor children along the path of error, wounds and the infallible guardian of truth. Today, whoever is not with the Pope will not succeed in remaining in the truth. The seduction of the evil one has become so insidious and dangerous that we are succeeding in deceiving almost everyone. Here even the good can fall. Here even the masters and the wise ones can fall. Here even the priests and the bishops can fall. Those who will never fall are always with the Pope. This is why I want to make you disciplined and attentive cohort, obedient and docile even to the desires of this first of my beloved sons, the vicar of my Jesus, Jesus who acts. You must above all relive Jesus in your life and live a living gospel. For this I will make you ever poorer, ever more humble, ever purer, ever smaller. Do not be afraid of entrusting yourself completely to me. I am his mother and yours, and I know how to do only one thing for you, and that is to help you to be born and to grow up like other little Jesuses for the salvation of all my children. When this cohort of priests is ready, then it will be the time for me to crush the head of my adversary, and the rewarded world will experience the joy of the triumph of my heart. Message number 107, August 15, 1976. Feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin into Heaven. Live in paradise with me. Live, my beloved Son, there where I am, in paradise, assumed body and soul, to share fully in the glory of my Son Jesus. Always associated with him through my role as mother on earth, I am now in paradise, associated in the glory of the Son, who wants his mother at his side, having given me a glorified body like his own. Here is the reason for this extraordinary privilege of mine. As by my yes I made it possible for the Word of God to assume his human nature in my virginal womb, so also by my yes I am entrusted myself to the action of my Son Jesus, who assumed your mother into the glory of heaven, body and soul. Mine is a transfigured and glorified body, but a real body, my beloved sons. Mother and son are now together in paradise forever. But I am also your real mother, and thus I can love you not only with my soul, but also with my glorified body. I love you with this mother's heart of mine, which has never ceased to beat with love for you. Beloved sons, you also should be living where I am. Live in paradise with me. It is true, you are still on this earth of sorrows, and often you experience all of its weight and suffering. But why, while still living in the land of exile, do you not also live, even now, where your mother is? Live in paradise with me, and do not let yourself be attracted by the world, not imprisoned by this earth. Today there is a tendency which is extremely false and dangerous, that of looking only at this earth. It is as though we are afraid of, if we look at paradise, we will be drawn away from the duties of daily life. Live in paradise with me, and then you will live well, even on this earth. Carry out here below the plan of the Heavenly Father, and you will create true happiness all about you. The more you look to the Father and live with me, the more you will labor on this earth for your own good and the good of all. Paradise, that is the real one, can never be found on this earth. How he deceives and seduces you, this adversary of mine, who in his fury tries to prevent you from coming up here to me with my Son and with me. Paradise is found only in the light of the most holy Trinity, with my Son Jesus and with me. The angels and the saints are illuminated by this light, and they rejoice in it. All paradise is resplendent with this light. Live then, while searching for, cherishing, and gazing upon this paradise which awaits you, my beloved sons. And here below, live in the paradise of my Immaculate Heart. Then you will be serene and deeply happy. You will always be littler and more abandoned, poorer and more chaste. The littler, poorer, and more chaste you become, the more you will be able to enter into the paradise of my Immaculate Heart, where time is now marked by the beating of a heart which knows no stopping. Message number 108, August 22nd, 1976. Feast of the Queenship of Mary. Your Queen and your Leader. I am your Queen. The power of the Father, the wisdom of the Son, and the love of the Holy Spirit, in the light of the most holy Trinity, have confirmed me forever in my function of maternal royalty. This is my crowning glory. It is my universal royalty, Mother of the Son, Queen with the Son. I am your leader. I am calling you, my beloved sons, to gather you all into my cohort, of which I myself am the queen and the leader. Therefore, there should be no leader among you. You are all brothers, united in love, and must grow ever more and more. If anyone wishes to become the greatest, let him become truly the least. Only he who loves the most, who serves the most, who listens to me the most, who becomes even smaller to the point of disappearing in my Immaculate Heart, is the one whom I myself will make ever greater. I am your leader. Therefore, my beloved ones, must listen to my voice, be docile to my teachings, and above all be prompt and obedient to my orders. I want to make of you sons who want to obey, who always know how to obey. Obedience and docility, this is the livery in which I wish to attire you. I will give my orders through the voice of him whom my Son has appointed to govern his church, the Pope with the hierarchy united to him. How my motherly heart is wounded and saddened today to see that some priests and even some bishops no longer obey the orders of the vicar of my Son Jesus. Every kingdom divided against itself is destined to defeat and ruin death. How Satan, my adversary, from the beginning, is succeeding today in deceiving and seducing you. He makes you believe that you are guardians of tradition and defenders of the faith, while he causes you to be the first to make a shipwreck of your faith and leads you, all unaware, into error. He makes you believe that the Pope is denying the truth, and thus Satan demolishes the foundation on which the Church was built, and through which the truth is kept intact throughout the ages. He goes so far as to make you think that I myself have nothing to do with the Holy Father's way of acting, and so, in my name, sharp criticisms aimed at the person and the work of the Holy Father are spread about. Priests, sons of my maternal predilection, be prudent, be attentive, be enlightened, because the darkness is invading everything. How can the mother publicly criticize the decisions of the Pope when he alone has the special graces for the exercise of this sublime ministry? I was silent at my son's voice. I was silent at the voice of the apostles. I am now lovingly silent at the voice of the Pope, that it might be disseminated more and more, that it might be heard by all, and that it might be received into souls. And I am also very close to the person of this first of my beloved sons, the vicar of my son Jesus. By my silence I am helping him to speak. By my silence I am lending strength to his own words. Return, return, my priest sons, to love, obedience, and communion with the Pope. Only in this way can you belong to my cohort, of which I am the queen and the leader. Only in this way can you hear my orders, which I will give through the very voice of the Pope. Only in this way can you fight along with me for the assured victory. Otherwise, you are already marching towards defeat. Beloved sons, if you consecrate yourself to my Immaculate Heart and entrust yourselves to me completely, I will cover you with my own brightness, and you will always be filled with light. I will clothe you with my interior docility, and you will ever be obedient. I will thus make you instruments fit for this battle of mine, and you will see in the end my royal victory. Message number 109, September 8, 1976. Feast of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary. You must be little. Look, O sons, at this mother of yours as a little infant. Because I was little, I was pleasing to the Most High. The exemption from all stain of sin whatsoever which I enjoyed by privilege from the first instant of my conception gave me the true measure of my littleness. Little, because a creature of God and chosen beforehand to be the mother of the Word. Little, because I received everything from God. Little, because I was overshadowed by the power of God, who covered me with his greatness. My richness is therefore only that of the little and poor, humility, faith, abandonment, hope. Today, the Church invites you to contemplate your Heavenly Mother at the moment of her birth. Look, my beloved ones, at this infant mother of yours and learn to be little. You must be little because you are my children, and therefore you should live the same life as I. You must be little to become docile instruments in my plan and to draw upon yourselves the good pleasure of my Son Jesus. How Jesus loves you, my dear sons! Indeed, he loves you because you want to be little, poor, simple, and humble. You must be little to oppose Satan, who is succeeding in leading people astray by pride and arrogance. Do you not understand that he will never succeed in leading you astray or in deceiving you if you remain humble? You must be ever littler because your mother wants you entirely for herself. She wants to feed you, to clothe you, to carry you in her arms. You must be little in this way. You will always say yes to the will of the Father. Say with me your yes. Thus, in you, I will repeat the yes of my perfect docility to the will of God. And lastly, you must be little to form this humble heel which Satan will try to bite, but with which I will crush his head. You must therefore be ever littler if you wish to prepare for the greatest triumph of my Immaculate Heart. Message number 110, September 25th, 1976. This is why I speak to you. If you are little, you will always hear my voice. My beloved sons, do not let yourselves be misled by the many voices which are heard today. My adversary deceives you with ideas and confuses you with words. You are, as it were, being submerged by a sea of words which grows ever greater and covers everything. The event of the Tower of Babel described in the Bible is now being repeated. You are now reliving the drama of the confusion of tongues. Your own words confuse you. Your own voices hinder you from understanding. It is now more than ever necessary to listen to my voice. This is why I speak to you. I speak to you to help you recover from the confusion created today by your own words. Hence, as a mother, I gently lead you to listen only to the word of the Father. This word was made flesh and life in my most pure womb. My heart opened to welcome it and guarded it as a precious treasure. I speak to you because today it is necessary to listen to His word. It is necessary to welcome it and to guard it jealously. It is only the word of my Son that I want you to hear. Today His voice has become, as it were, drowned out. It is the word of the Father. It is my Son Jesus who is no longer heard. His word, so clearly contained in the Gospel, is, as it were, submerged by so many other human voices. You have made a gospel of your own with your own words. You, my beloved sons, should listen to and announce only the word of my Son, just as it were set down in His gospel. The Church speaks to you, but each one wants to have his own say as to what she is telling you, and thus insecurity and confusion spreads about. And the Church is more than ever torn by this real confusion of tongues. I speak to you to tell you what sort of word you should listen to today in the Church, that of the Pope and that of the bishops united with him. The darkness grows ever deeper, and I speak to you to be your light. Error spreads, and I speak to you, my beloved sons, because you are called to remain in the truth. You are the ministers of the word. You are the heralds of the truth. The future looks distressing, and I speak to you to urge you to be confident and completely abandoned in my motherly heart. A defending uproar of voices brings greater and greater confusion to everything, and I speak to you to implore silence, suffering, and prayer. I speak to you, chalice of my Immaculate Heart, and are offered to the justice of God, which seeks to be appeased. Hence today everything can still be saved, and this is why I speak to you. Beloved sons, do not close your heart to my words. The plan of the Father has made much of what awaits you depends on whether my words are hearkened to or rejected. The purification can still be set back or shortened. Much suffering can still be spared you. Listen to me, sons, with simplicity. If you are little, then you will hear me and heed me. Little children understand very well the voice of their mother. Happy are those who still listen to me. They will now receive the light of the truth and will obtain from the Lord the gift of salvation. Message number 111, November 8, 1976. Look at your mother. Look, sons, at your heavenly mother. See how beautiful she is. She is the Father's masterpiece of beauty. She is the cradle of the sun. She is the delicate tapestry of the Holy Spirit. She is the enclosed garden in full bloom, where the delight of the most holy Trinity has grown ever greater. Look at your mother. Thus my beauty will cover you. I want to clothe you in my heavenly mantle. I want to clothe you with my purity. I want to surround you with my own light. You feel little, and this is true. You feel poor, and you see yourselves full of defects. It seems to you that you have nothing to give me. Oh, your love is enough for me. I do not want anything else of you. You cannot understand at this time, but in heaven you will contemplate in yourself the glory of your mother and submit to love in which Jesus, with her, has brought you. It seems to you as though Jesus is hiding himself to put his mother before him, but this is because he wants it to be she who loves him in you. It seems to you that you always have the mother before you. I see that it is Jesus himself who leads you to me, because in this way you will give to his heart the joy which others cannot give him. Do not talk. Be more and more silent with everyone. Never become discouraged because of your defects. I love you so much, son. I look at your heart, not at your character. And when, by impulse, you make mistakes, how great is the joy you give me if immediately you humble yourself and ask forgiveness. Offer me your wounds. Give me always a yes and no longer think anything of yourself. I want to be the one who thinks of everything. Message number 112, November 20th, 1976. The time of purification. Listen to my voice and let yourself be led by me, beloved sons. Thus my own life will increase in you, and you will spread my light all about you. It is now becoming ever more necessary and urgent to spread the gentle invitation of your mother throughout the world. This world is constantly drawing farther and further from God, and no longer pays attention to the word of my Son Jesus. Thus does it fall into the darkness of denial of God, and into the deceitful mirage of being able to do without him. It is as if you have ever succeeded in building a purely human civilization obstinately closed against any divine influence whatsoever. God, in his infinite majesty, cannot but hold in disdain this humanity which has gathered itself together in opposition to him. Thus, the cold of egoism and pride spreads ever more and more. Hatred prevails over love and daily claims its countless victims, victims known and unknown, violence against innocent and defenseless creatures who, at every moment, cry out for terrible vengeance before the throne of God. And more, sin continues to pervade everything. Where today is there a place where sin does not exist? Even those houses consecrated to the worship of God are profaned by the sins that are committed in them. It is the persons who are consecrated, the very priest and religious, who have lost even this sense of sin. Some of them, in their thoughts, their words, and their life sacrilegiously allow themselves to be led by Satan. Never before as today has the devil succeeded so well in seducing you. He seduces you through pride and thus brings you to justify and legitimize moral disorder. And after you have fallen, he succeeds in smothering within you the voice of remorse, which is a true gift of the Spirit, which calls you to conversion. How numerous now are my poor children who for years have stopped going to confession. They are rotting in sin and are eaten up with impurity, with a devouring attachment to money, and with pride. Satan has now pitched his tent among the ministers of the sanctuary, and has brought the abomination of desolation into the holy temple of God. It is necessary, then, that the mother speak to you and lead you by the hand. Her duty is above all that of guiding you in the struggle against the infernal dragon. So I say to you, these are the times of the purification. These are the times when the justice of God will chastise this rebellious and perverted world for its salvation. The purification has already begun within the church, pervaded in error, darkened by Satan, covered with sin, betrayed and violated by some of its own pastors. Satan sifts you like wheat. How much chaff will soon be blown away by the wind of persecution. From now on, my presence among you will become more continuous and more apparent. You yourselves will experience more and more, as from every part of the world I am already calling you and gathering you together in the cohorts of my priests, that you may all be guided by me in the battle which has already begun. Message number 113, December 4th, 1976. First Saturday of the month. What are you afraid of? My beloved sons, be ever more docile and allow yourselves to be led by me with complete confidence. In the darkness of this hour of trial in the church, you are called by me to walk in the light. The light shines forth from my immaculate heart and comes to you to envelop you and illuminate your path. Stand firm. Never again must you doubt. Your road is safe because it is marked out for you by your heavenly Mother, and how much my mother's heart is saddened by the doubt and mistrust which is taking more and more hold of the souls of so many of my priest sons. Why do you doubt? What are you afraid of? Jesus redeemed you from the evil one at the very hour of his triumph. This is the hour of Satan and of the power of darkness. My son Jesus gave you life forever at the very hour when he was slain on the cross. At the moment of his death, he set you all free from death. My church, of which I am the mother, lives again the life of Christ and is now called to tread the same path he trod. Of what then are you afraid? Of a world that has hurled itself with violent hatred against you? Of Satan, who has succeeded in making his way into the heart of the church and of reaping his victims from among its very pastors? Or of the error which menaces it, or the sin which darkens it more and more, or the infidelity which floods it? This, my beloved sons, is my church, still the hour of Satan and the power of darkness. It will be also immolated like Christ on the cross, and be called to die for the salvation and the renewal of the world. And since this is the hour of your purification, It is above all the hour of your suffering. Could it perhaps be this that you fear? And what if the Father has called you now, one by one, from all eternity for this hour? And what if your heavenly Mother has long since chosen you and prepared you for this hour? Live then in serenity of spirit and without fear, even in the midst of the anxieties and threats of your time. And so I say again, do not be always peering into the future to see what is going to happen. Live only the present moment with truth and complete abandonment in this heart of mine. Message number 114, December 24, 1976. The Holy Night. I ask the gift of your love. Beloved Son of my Immaculate Heart, spend these hours of vigil with me in prayer, in silence, in attentiveness to your Heavenly Mother. Today, as of old, is the birthday of my Son Jesus. Today, as of old, my dear sons, you should prepare for his coming. With my spouse Joseph, a just and chaste man, humble and strong, chosen by the Father to be of precious assistance to me, especially during these moments, I completed the last stage of a most fatiguing journey. I felt the fatigue of the journey, the sharpness of the cold, the uncertainty of the arrival, the insecurity of what might be lying ahead of us. And yet I dwell, as it were, far from the world and the things of the world, all absorbed in continual ecstasy with my child, Jesus, whom I was about to give to you. My sole support was trust in the Father. The sweet expectation of the Son lulled me. In the Spirit I was filled only with the fullness of love. As a mother, I thought of a house. The Father prepared us a shelter. I dreamt of a cradle for my little baby, and even then the manger was ready. On the night all paradise was contained within a cave. And when fatigue had seized upon us, and the continual refusal to receive us had worn out our human endurance, even the cave was ready for the light. And in the light of a heaven which opened to receive the great prayer of the Mother, my virginal bud opened to the divine gift of the Son. With me, my beloved sons, give to his heart the first kiss. Feel with me its first beat. Be the first to look into his eyes. Hear his first cry of weeping, of joy, of love. He wants your comfort. He asks for your gift of love. Enwrap his little limbs in love. He has made much need of warmth. All of the coldness of the world surrounds him. Only the warmth of love comforts him. Since that time, each year the Church renews this mystery. Since that time, my Son is ever being born again in hearts. And today, also, there is a world that rejects him and, in great part, closes its door to him. Just as in those days the great ones ignore him, but the hearts of the little one open to him. The longing of the simple is appeased. The life of the pure is enlightened. On this night, my beloved sons, I want to entrust my child to you. I lay him down at the cradle of your hearts. Let the great fire of your love increase, and with him I must rekindle all the love of the world. Message number 115, December 31st, 1976, the last night of the year. True poverty of spirit. Spend the last hours of this year, which the Immaculate Heart of your beloved Mother has made extraordinary for you by its graces and gifts, in prayer and in interior recollection. I myself have wanted you here and have led you to this house, which I have been preparing for you for some time. You are here in silence and in prayer. You listen to me, you speak to me, you call upon the Father with me. You have close to you this brother of yours who loves you so much and who, in my heart, deeply cherishes you. Your heavenly Mother sees with eyes that are different from yours. Hers is a regard of light and of love. For me, that person is great who is considered a nobody and of no value in the eyes of men. This house, which is hidden and unknown and attracts no attention, is now the place of my presence, and it is here and nowhere else that I have wanted you to spend these holy days with me. Accustom yourself to see everything with the same eyes as your mother. Always regard with pleasure the very love those whom the world ignores and disdains. May your heart always consider those to be greater whom men consider to be nobodies and with no worth. The poor, even among your brother priests, you should feel closer to those who are overlooked and considered as nothing. Oh, if you only knew what precious treasures in my mother's heart are all those beloved sons of mine whom no one esteems. Give them to me on this last night of the year. Offer them to me one by one. What comfort their love brings to my immaculate heart! How their hidden beauty makes amends for the sorrow caused to my heart by those who consider themselves great and esteemed, and who spend their lives seeking every kind of human recognition. True poverty of spirit is the gift I make to him whom I call. It is the emptiness which draws my love. It is the wavelength on which my voice can be heard and understood. Be always poor in this way, that you may see each new day through my eyes, and give me to him who, in poverty, has awaited me for so long.